Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. Alright, weather is really nice today. Very happy about that. Can't be any more than 75 degrees, if that. I don't even think it's happening. It's really, really nice. And, just getting out. Today's room day. So I have to, of course, go get cash for that. So that's where I'm coming back from right now. Just not really sure what I want to do with my day, man. Kind of didn't want to stay in this unit, but decided to stay on this side of town since got to pay these folks. So, it's a situation. I feel pretty good though, otherwise. Just lethargic a little bit, but nothing too serious. Nothing that's keeping me from doing my routine. Added another squat to my suitcase regimen. Added another push-up to my push-up regimen. Just trying to respond to the lethargy with effort is the word I use. Effort is the word. And just go from there. I feel like I don't know if it's age or if it's some of the issues I've been having with my stomach that's starting to catch up to me with fatigue or what. I don't know. But I'm not going to adhere to it. I'm going to strengthen through it. And that's really the intention there. Just see to it that we keep on going no matter what the outcome as it pertains to my effort. If I'm not seeing the results, I don't care, just push. I'm not here to see results, I'm here to add, to push until I'm comfortable and then add. So that's really what it is. I'm not really seeing the results that I want to see with all of the exercise I'm doing, but if the goal is to not necessarily focus on that, I'm doing fine. So that's really what it comes down to for me. As long as I can still do the reps I want to do and the sets I want to do, then the work is being put in, I'm good with that. So yeah, man, feels good to be out. Of course, I've let a lot of content here for you today. Talked about the NBA All-Star game to a degree, but I got so far away from the NBA in regards to the conversation that I just decided that it would be best to call that a therapy session. And then I made another therapy session talking about something I saw online that I thought was pretty interesting. And so I made another therapy session. I guess this one will be a therapy session as well. I don't really feel like talking about basketball, to be honest with you, because ain't no basketball being played. We had that All-Star game yesterday. Wasn't that good? That's about it. So that was not a good All-Star game. We talked a lot about that in that therapy session. And that's pretty much it in regards to that. So yeah, man, see what the Lord wants to do with my voice here. I've been having some really interesting dreams. I dreamed of my mother 2 nights ago. It was a lot going on in that dream. I don't remember everything, but at the end of it, it was my aunt, initially my Aunt Cheryl, that I saw, that was walking toward me, and I gave her a big hug, and her mouth was glowing like she had some type of grill in her mouth, but it was like light, bright orange light shining out of her mouth. It was weird. It didn't seem demonic at all, but it was just like she was wearing some type of futuristic grill. That's what it looked like. And I gave her a hug, and I was like, it's so good to see you happy. It's so good to see you happy. And I hugged her, and then as I went to look at her, she no longer looked happy. But she also didn't look like herself, and I realized that wasn't my aunt anymore. It was my mom. It was my mother. Like, you go to hug somebody and they're one person, and then when you release from the hug, they're somebody else. That's exactly what that was. And then I heard the voice that came out of it, and it was definitely my mother. And it was my mom essentially saying, she said the words, "My boy, I miss you more." I was like, "Mom, why do you look so sad?" I thought I was still talking to my aunt until the voice came out of her, and I realized it was my mother's voice. So as I'm saying, why do you now look sad? And she said something along the lines of, "My boy, I miss you more than you could ever know." That's the words that came out of her mouth. And then she asked me, "Where have you been staying?" And I told her, "Lenox. I was in Lenox." She was like, "Lenox." And then I woke up. Like, that's exactly how that went. Very strange. Very strange stuff, man. But she did not look well. She did not look happy at all, to be completely honest with you. in that dream, she looked like she had been through a lot. And I was asking her, like, why are you unhappy? She was like, I miss you more than you'll ever know. Like, that was the only problem. I don't know. That was a little disturbing. But my aunt looked happy. That was interesting. She looked very happy. But my mom, not so much. So that was the night before last. And then last night, I dreamed of my aunt again. This time my mom was not involved. My aunt was giving me this massive dog. And I know where the dog came from. I saw footage of this lady who had this huge dog that was bigger than her. It was only like 1 year old, but it was one of them massive Great Danes. A bigger than normal, like a giant Great Dane, as if such a thing. And it was hugging her. And it was a similar dog in my dream. And my aunt was giving me this dog, but she was essentially saying it's going to be expensive to keep him because he only eats beef. And I'm like, well, in my dream, I'm like, I can't afford to give him all that he's going to want. I can't afford to keep this dog. I can't buy $30 worth of meat for this dog every day. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And she was showing me how to cook it. I was like, we cook it, right? She was like, yeah, we cook the meat. We don't feed him raw meat. We feed him cooked meat. And she was putting it in the oven and stuff like that. That was exactly the kind of dream I had. And that was especially relevant because she was a dog lover. Like, she had multiple dogs in her life, and they were her life. In the latter years of her life, that was like her thing, dogs. So that felt relevant. It felt real. And she was giving me a dog, and a massive one at that. And we ain't talking about nothing regular. This dog was, if it stood on its hind legs, it's taller than me. And so that's really what it came down to. So it was a positive dream, very positive energy. But like every dream I've had while being in this room over the last 7 days has been like really stand out. Like something involved, you know what I mean? Just really, really live dreams, dead people coming back visiting me type stuff. Every single night. Every night is something different like that. My father, mom, my aunt twice in a row. It's been a lot of it. I don't know what's going on with that. But, I've just been praying a lot as well. A lot of praying, continuing that meditation. Practice, I guess you could say. Feel good about it. Not really sure what God wants to do with me, but I feel like He's been keeping me on assignment, praying for certain people and stuff like that, giving me concepts and stuff for me to talk about in this camera. And so, it's been a positive experience in that regard. I encourage everybody who's a believer to find some quiet time and meditate and pray. Man, it's good for you. And like I always say, the more you do it, the stronger you get, just like anything else. And so, yeah, that's the point of view I have for you. At the end of the day, hasn't been a whole lot to say, to be honest with you. I've just been focusing on the different things that I like to do. The music, like I told you guys, I made a playlist, finally did the art for it. Did some more laundry yesterday, and did the work on my art in between that. And I thought I made some pretty decent pieces, especially for somebody who hasn't been as consistent with it lately. Those are some really good pieces I made, so I encourage everybody to check out Delicity 410 on BDF Apple Music or BDF 44 Apple Music. I never can actually tell if it's BDF 44 or BDF, because when you check out my playlist, it just says BDF. But if I'm not mistaken, I switched the account itself to BDF 44, spelling out the word 44 just like I do with this thing. So I'm not really sure. If you wanted to search for me, search both. You know what I mean? That's what I'll tell you. But, yeah, man, just, dealing with my stomach as well, still having some of those same things, symptoms and stuff like that still pop up. And, still trying to convince myself to call doctor and get set up for an appointment and all of that stuff that needs to be done. My uncle sent me a list of churches. He wants me to get involved in a church out here in hopes of trying to, provide me with some resources and things like that. And I haven't checked out that list yet. As you guys know, I'm not really a church person. I may be a spiritually inclined person, somebody who prays a lot, but as far as me going to a church house, it's not something that I've felt comfortable doing by myself. I did when I was a child with my mother, often, But then as I got older and became more antisocial, the less likely I would frequent with her. She would go regularly. I would go reluctantly after I got to a certain age. It's like, nah, I don't want to go nowhere. You ain't gonna get me to church, can't get me to the movies. All the stuff that we used to do when I was a kid, as I started to become an adolescent, all that stuff, I just had no motivation to really be around human beings at all. So, yeah, that kind of carried forward in regards to my attitude toward church. I believe it's good for a lot of people. I've had some really good experiences in church as well, but I never felt the desire to really frequent church as a grown-up. And go to church for special occasions, funerals mostly, like that's about it. But that doesn't mean that I don't believe that God could have a purpose for me in a church someday again, or what have you. I've had some good times. I was part of a church choir when I was a kid. In fact, I was part of a couple church choirs. I had a great time doing it, so I'm not anti-church, but as it pertains to me wanting to go now and stuff like that, I'm not excited about finding a church home and going every Sunday. For me, it's also just the convenience of it all, to be honest with you, because I don't have a car. So like going to church on Sunday, and I leave the house early in the morning, go to some church house, sit there, do the sermon, however long it is, get back home. Then I got Bible study at 4:30. It just eats up my whole Sunday. And so for me, I really am not interested in going to church, to be honest with you. But that doesn't mean that it isn't a good idea for me to get involved with a church house that could ultimately help me with some direction and stuff like that I think is positive for myself at this point. So, I'm open to being open, I guess is the word I'll say. And if something good comes along, that would be good. I'll be happy with it. So we'll see, man. We'll see if that's in the cards for me. I'm definitely praying the Lord allow me the strength to welcome some newness into my life that I wouldn't ultimately go for, to create opportunities and avenues that maybe I don't see right now. As I was praying last night, the word excitement came to mind. Excitement, I had been feeling not necessarily complacent, but just kind of in a loop. And I don't hate my loop, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm doing a bunch of stuff I hate doing or anything like that. I'm living a life kind of what comes naturally to me, but it's getting to a point where it's like, every 3 weeks, move out of the room, come back, walk down this street, make content, Hollywood, come home, work out, eat, like it's getting a bit monotonous. There ain't a whole lot of excitement attached to it at this point. Not to say that I'm looking for things to get stressful like it had been, because they had been very stressful, as you guys know. But it's getting to a point where it's like, all right, I could use some change or a shift or maybe an exodus from this era, or something to happen or whatever. And the Lord put it in my heart that excitement could be on the way. Something to be excited about could be around the corner this year. And another thing that came to mind last night as well, which is not related to that, is the Lord is on his mark. Runner will, an Olympian or some type of a track runner will get on their mark and they get down in their stance, 3-point stance or whatever it is to take off running. That's what came to mind last night. That the Lord is on his mark right now. He's getting down in that stance and he's getting ready to take off. And as you remember, what came to me in meditation when I first started praying in the way that I have been this year was the Lord's about to stomp through this place or strut through this place in a new way, a new kind of way. That's what came to mind. That the Lord is about to strut through this earth, and that the fires were the first of many things that he's going to demonstrate in regards to his unhappiness or his will or whatever he chooses, or however that goes. And that's what came to mind. The Lord is on his mark, and the fires was the first thing he did. That was a warning shot. There will be more this year. There will be more things. So that's what came to mind. You may feel like you're in this loop, but it's just like the meme of the man who's with a pickaxe in his hands, trying to pick through a wall with diamonds potentially behind the wall. The meme shows you the diamonds behind the very thin bit of axing that he needs to do left. It's like paper thin, in terms of what it is that he has between him and his diamonds. But you see him turning around because he's been picking for so long till he's lost faith that there's any diamonds back there, when he's just one more strike away from the diamonds falling completely on top of him. Like, he's gonna be drowning in diamonds if he just swings that axe one more time. But because he lost his will to do so, or he's fatigued, or he's tired, or he just feels like it's no use, he's turning around and he's leaving with just that small amount left to accomplish before he reaches his dream. That was the meme that came to mind last night, as I was thinking about how complacent and how monotonous my life feels, and how in a loop I'm in, and just the circumstances that I'm engaging in right now. Just kind of like, I'm kind of tired, I feel like, I was telling God, I feel like Forrest Gump when he was running until he finally got to a certain point on the highway, randomly 4 years down the road or whatever it was, and just said, you know what, I'm tired, I'm going home. This is run its course. Like, that's kind of how I feel. I kind of feel that way in my life right now. It's just like, all right, man, run out of road, I'm tired, bro. This same old run ain't really doing it for me. I haven't did enough on this run. I'm happy with what I've done to the point, but now it's like I'm ready for something else, or I'm ready for a change of some sort. That's what I meant. Like, I'm done running this road. But at the same time, it's like, you're not far away from something that the Lord is wanting for you. You're not far away from what it is that you ultimately have been doing all this for. And you don't have a long way to go, so don't turn around now. That's the type of energy that's been coming my way. The Lord is on his mark. Something big's about to happen. So, that's what I'm telling all of you guys, man. Sometimes the moment before something great happens feels like nothing is happening. The moment before something great happens feels like just a regular day. You don't feel like nothing's happening. You just running in place, just doing your routine. You're probably real tired of that routine. And then boom, life change. Next day, life change. Never again the same. All of a sudden, everything you ever wanted is in your life, and now you got to live with that reality, and it's so much shock. I liken it to how I felt about my Lakers just 2 months ago. Telling you guys, like, man, I'm tired of this team. It's run its course, it's boring. Not boring, but it just ain't that interesting to watch this unit play. And I'm kind of frustrated. Don't look like it's not a whole lot to look forward to. They're about to, just kind of go down a path that I just was hoping we wouldn't. We're aiming for stuff that didn't look that big to me and all of that, and then boom, Luka Doncic trade. Now all of a sudden, now you're dealing with something else. It turned the whole franchise future around. You got to rearrange your whole thoughts. Like, that's kind of what the Lord is essentially telling me. Like, we got another Luka Doncic trade type thing going on, but not in that same way. Like, something's about to happen. And so I don't know what that is. Obviously, he's not telling me what it is, but nor how close I am to whether or not, it's happening. But God is on his mark as it pertains to my life, or the lives of the people around me, or, this world. I don't know what. I really don't know if it's specific to me or just him ready to do something big in this world. I don't know. But that's the message that came to me last night as I was meditating. And I think it might have some correlation to some of the dreams I've been having too. Like the night that I had the dream about my aunt and my mother and the hug and all of that, before I went to sleep that night, I felt a significant amount of spiritual energy in my prayers. In my meditation, way more magnetic pull, so to speak, to me than usual. Way more magnetic pull. My energy was just on high as it pertains to my spiritual energy and what I was feeling and sensing and all of that. It was on high, and I could tell something was different in the atmosphere. Something was very different 2 nights ago. And when I ended up having that dream and I had woken up from it, I was not surprised. I was not surprised that I had such a poignant dream, because before I went to sleep, it was like 10, 12 times more energy toward my meditation than what I had been experiencing. And so that's of the mindset like, yeah, God is doing something. I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something. There's something different in the air right now. And as it pertains to what I'm feeling, I just feel like we're in that space where it's like just a few more steps and you're going to see a change. A change that maybe you've been waiting for all your life. Maybe something you've been praying for 10 years. You're like 1 or 2 steps away from it happening. You know, and I think about something else the Lord put in my heart to do. He told me to start taking $20 every week that my uncle provides me money for the room. Set aside $20. That's what he's been telling me. Just take $20 and start saving. And granted, that's what I should have been doing the whole time, and I wasn't. So that's just like common sense for somebody who's in my situation. You should probably be trying to save money, but put it in a space where you're not going to be able to touch it. You know, when I save money, I'd have it in cash form, and I'd put it somewhere. Ended up using it buying food. End up using it, you know, to give to a friend in a situation. My friend T needed me to pay into something. That would be where my savings would go. But in this situation, what the Lord put in my heart to put that money somewhere where you can't get to it right away. Put it in your Fidelity account, basically. And I know that they don't want me to have no more than $100 in that Fidelity account, but I'm following the Lord. I'm just putting it there. I'm not buying any, you know, he's not telling me to buy anything. I haven't purchased any stock. I'm just saving it in that account. And sure enough, that's what it is that I feel I should be doing. You know what I mean? It's just following that voice. Listening to that voice inside of me saying, this is what you need to focus on. This is what it is I want to do with you. Now I understand the world may want this out of you. I understand that your right mind tells you to follow down this path or what have you, but there are specific things that I'm telling you to do right now. Put that money in that account. Keep close to me. Pray for this person. Focus on this person in regards to prayer. And just understand that I'm on my mark. I'm getting ready to do something. So that's what I'm here to tell y'all, man. God is being very clear with me. Very, very clear about his intentions to move soon. You know what I mean? And when a runner's on his mark, it's not like they're waiting 20 years to take off running. You know what I mean? This is something that's going to happen rather quickly. You know, before you know it, the gun goes off and they take off running. And so that's what I'm here to tell y'all. God is making it incredibly clear to this person I am that he's about to do something. And it definitely feels like we're in the monotonous nothingness right now. It don't feel like nothing's happening. And that is not by accident. That is exactly what it's supposed to feel like right now. So that's what I'm telling all of you guys. As I live my life in the moment I'm in, as I'm recording right now, the only sign I have anything like this is the notion through meditation that I've been communicating this energy to from the Most High. That's it. No other sign. Anything special is about to happen. And so we'll see what happens. You know, I like life. I love living. You know, part of me wonders if he's about to take me out, like, to be honest with you, because of how I got my stomach situation has been. When you get to the age I'm at and you start having health problems, you don't know if you're going to wake up the next morning, like literally. You don't know what he's going to do. But when I pray about death, he basically tells me to ignore that, because that's not necessarily what he's planning on doing. That's what comes my way. That's not necessarily what his intention is right here. I don't know that he's going to let me know that I'm going to when it's time. But when I ask him, like, nah, we're not there. That's not what we're doing. That's not the energy that I'm feeling from the one who created me and the one who's going to take me home, wherever home is going to be. If I've done enough to get to heaven, that's where I'll be. If I'm going to hell, that's where I'll be. But like, as far as that, I don't get any response in regards to that being confirmed at all. Like, nah, that's not what this is. That ain't what this is at all. So I don't know, man. We'll see what he says. And something else that's been interesting is just the energy around me. I had a dude yesterday, so I was coming home, and maybe it was the day before, I can't remember. But it was a little Hispanic guy. He had a bottle in his hand. And I'm sure, as I was walking past him, I had just finished the video. I was about a half a block away from the hotel. And he walked past me and he said something in Spanish. I didn't know what it was, but it felt like the energy was derogatory and pointed toward me. And I looked back at him, and he was looking at me like he wanted to do something. And so I stared him down, but I kept on walking, and I felt like my ego was disrupted. But that for which is restraint within me, and which is wise within me, was pulling me away from confronting him in any way. But that enemy inside of me wanted to confront him and start whatever the hell was going to be started from that situation. Because I knew I was bigger than him. I also knew he was carrying a massive bottle. It looked like a wine bottle. And I was thinking to myself, crashing out on some random crazy person just because he said something that you didn't even understand, and now is looking at you like he wants to do something to you, probably is something that's meant to coerce me off track. You engage in what you engage in with him, and you miss the blessing that the Lord ultimately has for you. And there was another situation yesterday. I was coming down the laundry room, and it was this white guy, and he looked at me and gave me the most evil look, scowl. All I was doing was coming down the stairs with my laundry bag, nodded at him, and he gave me the most evil, racist looking scowl. And once again, that same energy inside of me that wants to crash out was like, I want to confront this person. And it was like that urge in me was furthermore overridden by the understanding, like, can't you see what's happening here? Can't you see what's happening here? The enemy is trying to get you to crash out so that you miss this blessing. That was the first indication that something big is coming. Because the enemy is always going to try to make you do something that keeps you off the course that you're on when something good is going on. I don't have this type of energy all day long every day. But throughout the course of these last couple of days, with the spiritual energy that I've been talking about, coupled with what's been coming my way in regards to these bad vibes from people, it's like something's coming, man. Something's happening. God is about to do something. Because the enemy's trying to coerce me off path every which way. Not just in a regular way, but in a way that doesn't happen too often. I don't feel like crashing out on people. You know what I mean? I don't have people try to provoke me to confrontation very often, especially when I'm not looking for that energy. But over the last couple of days, I've had it more than once. It's like, what does the enemy know that's coming that he's trying to get me to do ruin? And see, when you're spiritually inclined, these are the type of things that show you the signs of what could potentially be around the corner in your life. After winning battles like these and then seeing God work thereafter, I now know what this looks like. I've seen it in other people's lives too, looking at it through the same lens. Like there's always something trying to coerce them off path right before something great happens. And then when something great happens and they look back on the fullness of that, they see it. Or you can see it. But this was something that was meant to coerce them off path. If they would have fell into that, they would have never been in place to catch what it is that ultimately came their way in the form of a blessing. So you can see when the devil's trying to push you off track, trying to get you to do something so that you can't deserve what it is that God has planned for you. And I tell you, we're in a space like that right now for me, right now. He just wants me to do something that'll get me off the track that I'm on right now. Any damn thing, crash out, whatever, anything to get you off track right now. Because right now, if you keep walking the path you on, you're going to run into something that he don't want you to have. Desperately don't want you to have. And so I'm telling you, I've seen that kind of energy in the last couple of days. So it's like, all right, well, I just got to stay prayed up. Continue praying the prayers that I've been praying, because a lot of them prayers I think are offending the enemy. I really do. That's also part of it. Being creative in regards to my prayers and asking for protection for people and different things that kind of frustrate him. You know, he got to be able to use certain things to get to you in order to keep you from gaining what it is he wants you to have. See, that's one thing that I also learned last year. You know, a good friend of mine, I was having issues with that particular friend. It was like the enemy is aligned with the time and how she operates. So when you're dealing with that person, you're going to always get hurt. You're going to always find them disappointing you because they're on the devil's timing. They always going to do certain things that are going to make you feel like, damn, how the hell did this happen? This is like, not supposed to happen. That's not how this works. Like 9 out of 10 times, this is never going to line up this way, but because this is going on and that's taking place in their life, now all of a sudden I'm upset or I'm hurt, and it keeps happening. How are they just fortuitously in position to let me down? And it's like, it's because the devil keeps using them through whatever their sins are, whatever their demonic energy is, to hurt your feelings so that you'll be coerced off of your focus. But you got to stay on that focus, because at the end of the day, that's the only purpose they have, is to derail you from the path that you're supposed to be on, for which good things are coming. You keep going toward that person that keeps hurting you. You start to understand that it's not just them and their intentions. There's something bigger going on that's trying to coerce you away from being not only in position to catch your blessing, but also so that you can't be a blessing to somebody else when it's time for them to benefit from what it is that ultimately is going to make you very happy. And see, these are the type of things that when you keep meditating, you keep praying, you start to understand. The older you get, to start to understand, like, yo, the enemy is using people just like God is. So I love my friend to death, but I can't keep putting this confining, I'm not going to say the word confiding in, but you can't just keep putting your faith in certain people who time after time show you that they are not on the alignment of the timing of the Lord, but more so on the alignment of the timing of hurting your feelings, alignment of the timing of what ultimately disappoints you or lets you down or comes up short or what have you. Because eventually you start realizing that the devil is using that person to hurt you, that he can't reach you in all these other areas, so he gonna use somebody that he controls to hurt you. Because temptation ain't working. These people he keeps sending into your life to have you crash out ain't working. These circumstances that are meant to distract you ain't working. The temptation ain't working. But he knows you got a friend that's on his timing, and he knows you have a soft spot for that friend. So as a result, he gonna keep using that friend to get to you. And that's what I started realizing was happening to me last year. That's exactly what was going on. And so you start understanding those are the type of things. It's like you gotta start praying creative prayers that protect you from that energy. And that's what I've been doing, is creating prayers of protection based on the patterns of occurrences that I've been seeing the enemy use to get to myself and other human beings. Now you know how he operates, and you know how to pray to protect yourself from those specific operations. And the more specific you get, the more zeroed in the Lord can focus on giving you exactly what you asked for. I can ask the Lord to protect me, and he will protect me to the best of my ability, but there's still going to be things that I'm not going to see. And maybe he sees, but it's going to be harder for me to align with him nudging me in certain directions that align with the specifics of that particular threat. You see what I'm saying? You can ask the Lord to protect you, or you can also get specific and say, Lord, protect me from being aligned with cultures that ultimately are meant for my deterioration. And then when a certain song turns on, and your certain mind, your mind tells you to turn it off because it's aligning with that for which you've prayed for specifically, you're more likely to trust that voice in your head, rather than it being drowned out by the world around you. You see what I'm saying? And the specifics will help the Lord help you. It's like, God, protect me from stepping on certain cracks. Well, now when I see certain cracks and he tells me to step to the left, I know that he's aligning me with the specifics of what it is I've asked him for, so that I'm not doing anything that allows for what it is I've prayed for not to fall into place. So that's really what it is. That when you become specific in what it is that you're asking for, he can give you exactly what it is you're asking for. When you get aligned with the specifics of what it is that you know is being used against you, you know how best to fight against that for which is coming at you. And the more specific you get, the more likely you're able to see him protect you in those specifics. And so that's what I'm here to tell y'all. Spiritual warfare is just that. It's warfare. And the enemy is going to use many tactics, many collective things coming at you from different angles that are meant to coerce you off path. Combination of 2 distractions, one temptation, one crash out, and 4 disappointments used by several imps that are on devil's timing. Like, you have all that coming at you at once. Now all of a sudden, your resolve is broken. And a lot of times you didn't even know that happened. He keeps throwing 2 or 3 crash out dummies at you. You shake off 2 of them, but the third one just like it's too much. You know what I mean? This type of strategy is coming against us in spiritual war. And that's why I tell people we got to guard our thoughts, guard our mind. You know, as I've been meditating, the Lord's been saying, let me into the deepest parts of your mind, specifically into areas where you conjure up desires, wants, needs, you know, protections, those spaces for which your instincts are, your subconscious, your dreams. I ask God to come into all of those things. These are the creative prayers, and I'm telling you, I think are offending the enemy. Making it harder and harder to get to me, making it harder and harder to get to the people that I'm on assignment to pray for. Making it harder and harder for him to reach those people in the same ways. In theory, because you know, you only know until somebody tells you. But the faith itself will let you know that you're effective. If you believe God exists, then you know you're effective in the areas without actually needing confirmation. Otherwise, you would need confirmation for everything, including his existence, which brings you back to square one as it pertains to your faith. So I don't need the person I'm praying for to tell me this is working in their life. It's by sheer faith that I'm even thinking that this is possible, let alone that I believe it and then move in such a way that prays for them in a specific way. Of course it's working in their life, no different than I believe that God exists. And it's that faith and those prayers and that consistency in meditation and prayer that can ultimately make change in the lives of yourself and others. You got to believe something's happening first. You got to believe that it's possible first. Otherwise, the essence of what faith is out the window. Because faith is just belief. That's all it is. And so, yeah, man, I just wanted people to understand, like, all these different things that I've been going through in my life over the last couple of years, you know, it's been showing me where I can zero in my prayers, specifics and the creativity of my imagination, telling the Lord, hey, this is what I want you to do here. This is what I learned the enemy's doing. Help me in this area. This is what it is that I see trying to come at me. Make me strong in resistance to that. You know, this is where the Lord can really help me specifically. And so that's what it is, man. Continue to offend the enemy by becoming more and more savvy to the attacks that he has upon you and others. And then furthermore, communicate with the Most High. The stronger you get in relationship with him, the more comfortable you're going to feel in regards to these type of things. Communicate to him what ultimately you need, and he will provide with your belief. He will provide it. Maybe not on the timing that you want it to be on. You may have to wait some, but that you will be strong enough to do so is a prayer in and of itself, worth praying for. Give me the patience. Keep me occupied while I wait. You know? So, we've talked about all these concepts before. None of this is any new to you guys if you follow me. This is a journey that we've been on for a long time that's been evolving in regards to some of these concepts. And, you know, they're still evolving. You know, one of the things I thought of this morning, which is pretty basic and common sense, but is another new one for me, is, you know, as I discovered last year when dealing with that friend of mine, that I wanted the Lord to filter all of my intentions, my thoughts, my prayers, anything that had to do with that person through him first, so that whatever comes out of me is first run by him upstairs, the great one above us. And take that for which is in me, filter it through you, and then send it back through me, so that when it goes into them, only thing that comes out of me is what you want it to come out of me. Like that concept, I discovered that last year when I was struggling with reaching out to my friend, wanting more from her, and realizing that was not best for her. And if I'm going to call myself trying to be unselfish or a loving person, then obviously you want what's best for them, not as it pertains to what you're willing to do, but what is just simply best for them. And then you be willing from there. Is your love selfish? You only care about somebody if they care about you. You only care about somebody if they're willing to do for you first or whatever. It's like, no, you want to be better than that. If you really care about somebody, then the essence of the love that you have for them is unselfish and willing to sacrifice. So that's where that idea came from. It's like, all right, well, some of these things that I want to do may not be best for her. Some of these things that I have urges about may only be for my betterment. So, Lord, if I'm going to be of the love that I hope you show me, then I need you to filter all the energy in me through you to get out all the stuff that's selfish, to get out all the stuff that's meant for my betterment, to get out all the stuff that's only meant to exalt myself. And that manifested into something new today. God, anything that I have to say about myself, filter it through you. All of my own intentions, all of my own exhaustions, all of my own opinions. A lot of times I was dealing with self-loathing as a child, insecurity, so easy to be cruel to yourself. And a lot of us struggle with that. We fall into depression off of the strength of our own negative thoughts, off of the strength of our own self-loathing. You do certain things you don't respect, and you don't respect yourself in the mirror. And then from there, it trickles down to how you treat yourself. You look in the mirror based on that treatment, see what result comes from being that way in whatever form of darkness it may be. And then further hate yourself, and it just becomes a spiral that just eventually eats away at your entire confidence and ultimately the goodness within you. You turn into just a horrible version of yourself. You start running into crutches and things, substances, and then you just start doing devious stuff because you don't believe there's any good in anyone else, just because you don't see any good in yourself. The enemy continues to keep you in that spiral, further turning you into the devil that ultimately you are offended by. And that, my friends, is something you can do something about. You pray the specific prayer of, Lord, can you filter everything I have to say about myself, pointed at myself, all of my efforts, all of my displays, filter all of those things through you, and then send them back through me, so that what it is I point at me is through you first. That way any of the enemy's energies that have ultimately been in my spirit, however long they've been, pointed at myself, can no longer hurt myself. So a lot of times we are our very worst enemy. And in being our worst enemy, we end up hurting things that we genuinely don't want to hurt, ruining things that we genuinely want to see successful. Welcoming people into our lives that are on the devil's timing, putting a lot of faith in them and then letting them disappoint us furthermore. And the self-loathing comes from that, crashing out, and all these different other energies that end our lives early. Overeating, drugs, all this different stuff that comes first from not being kind to yourself. In the world, the evil world we're in will teach you how not to be kind to yourself, as we talked about many times. Teach you how to, by way of its cultures, welcome the wrong things into your life, which give birth to self-loathing and depression. Having standards that are measured in the sky for you to reach that you can't reach, so therefore you feel like a failure, and everything comes from that. Self-loathing and depression come from that, which gives birth to poor decision making and all that. Like all that stuff that just is a domino effect that starts simply with a bad thought pointed inward. So the Lord put it in my heart today. He said, man, it's like you filter everything you have to say toward others through me. You start filtering everything you got to say to yourself through me. That way you start disarming yourself of self-loathing, insecurity, self-exhaustion, main character syndrome, depression, all these different inward energies that don't represent you very well and do also destroy you just the same. And you start filtering, you ask the Lord to filter all of those thoughts out of your brain. And you start telling him to send back to you thoughts that help cultivate the person you want to display in the world, to cultivate the person you want to see yourself be in the mirror. Cultivate within yourself the display of effort that maybe you otherwise don't find naturally. You know, setting yourself up to be successful, to be either repelled by cultures that are meant to destroy you, repelling those things from your mindset, being bumped by those things that otherwise you would welcome into your spirit, that maybe the people around you go along with, that ultimately don't bring nothing good to them or yourself. And you filter all of your inner thoughts pointed inward through the Lord and have him send back to you what's best for you, just like you would in regards to somebody else. And then don't you see how you'll start being kinder to yourself? Some of those things that are ultimately meant to coerce you toward temptation, you don't look at it positively no more. You don't look at that as something to welcome into your life anymore. It's not good for you. You don't want it. As opposed to it being something that everybody else gets along with, so let's just do it. Nah, you start feeling you feel differently about it because you filtered your thoughts through something that means well by you, rather than just natural thoughts coming to your head and you just working with them. See, these are the things that offend the enemy. He don't like none of this. None of this stuff. These are secrets to life. Secrets to getting around the things that he controls to destroy your life. Things that allow you to destroy other people's lives through your natural, unfiltered opinions about them and about you. Self-exhaustion. He uses all of these energies against you. Vanity. All these different energies in both extremes. He uses them so that you could be a pawn in his game, aligned with his timing to hurt other people, to destroy dreams, to bring forth a prejudice that exalts yourself and gives no consideration to others. You use all these different things, all of them, so that you can be on his side of things. And then when he's done with you, he discards of you. You know what I mean? It's like when you start getting closer to God, he start opening up the door for understandings of how to defend yourself against all of that. Not only threats that are obvious, but ones that are also hidden, covert, with shiny objects around their neck that look like things you want to hug, cactuses and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, you start understanding. You start getting stronger in the presence of energies that want to coerce you towards your destruction. You start looking at them the way you should look at them when a threat's in your presence. Not as things that you should want for yourself, but things you should stay away from. Not as things that you want to put in your body, but things that ultimately you see it's poisonous. Because a lot of what is poisonous in our culture, we welcome into our lives. We welcome it by way of what's promoted to us by the enemy himself. And the timing that he has so many people who are ambitious on. Coursing them to being influential by way of what it is their ambition point is at. Their own self-exhaustion that hasn't been filtered through. Their need to hoard money and ultimately dominate whoever demon they're in competition with by way of the demons in their own heart. You know what I mean? And whatever demon influence cultures that have been placed in their lives for their own self-exhaustion and the hatred of others, toward others, whatever. I mean, in a million different ways that the enemy has people on his timing that influence the cultures that we ultimately engage in. We have to defend ourselves against these cultures. And this is how. Suddenly they're not as cool anymore. Suddenly you're not pouring into what they have going on anymore. Why? Because all of your thoughts are filtered through the Holy Spirit pointed at yourself and others. And as you do so, you start realizing that he uses those thoughts to align you with his timing, to turn you into a prayer warrior that finds new ways of protecting not only yourself but others, and the inspiration to do so, and all the things that are also domino effects in the other direction. So that's what it is, man. It's infinite as it pertains to what God can do, and it's infinite as it pertains to what the enemy's going to try to do to keep you away from God. It's infinite. And if he effectively does away with you, then he'll turn his attention to somebody else and try to do the same thing to them. And so that's why I tell y'all, man, don't be discarded by the enemy. Do not align yourself with his timing. Do not allow yourself to be influenced by things that are on his timing, because his timing is not for your betterment. He's not trying to do anything but torture, destroy, belittle, convert. You know what I mean? And strengthen his army of destruction. And then furthermore destroy all of them when they're done doing the destruction he wants them to do. That's exactly what the enemy's about, man. So that's pretty much what I gotta say, man. I wanted to give y'all as much of that as I possibly could. And tell y'all what the Lord's been putting in my heart. Tell y'all that something good could potentially be on the way. Tell y'all that the Lord is on his mark. And a lot of times you look around, you feel discouraged. You don't see the change that you want to see. You haven't found a way to protect yourself against the timing of the enemy, so you're being attacked in every different way, including within your own self as you think the thoughts you think of yourself. And you ain't seen God work yet. But he's on his mark, that's the point. On this day, I can officially tell you he's on his mark. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.